Mt Diablo is a 3,800-foot mountain located about 35 miles east of San Francisco in the Tri-Valley area. The mountain is a central point of Mt Diablo State Park, which is 20,000 acres and was established in 1921. It is also well known as it was used for initial land surveys of the Northern California and even Nevada areas. Today there's dozens of miles of hiking trails at the park, plus a scenic drive that takes you all the way to the summit. I set out to spend a half day in the park in the springtime when the wildflowers were blooming. While there, I did a few short hikes, drove all the way to the summit, and then ate at one of my favorite restaurants at the base of the mountain in Danville. Here's all the information on Mt Diablo State Park. After arriving in the town of Danville, I made my way over to the start of the long drive up to the summit. The drive to the summit takes about 45 minutes depending on how much you stop for the viewpoints, and you do have to pay an entrance fee about a quarter of the way up. This is the windy road we've been coming up right here. We are continuing to go up that direction. If you want to though, there's some pull-offs like this one. You can get some amazing views. If you're planning to visit the park, I recommend you don't do it without at least a half day. Because of the time it takes you to get to the summit, this is not a place you want to rush. Eventually you'll get to the pay station, and it was $10 when I went, and there is a self-registration area if there's not somebody to take the money. We're about a mile past the entrance gate and we're at our first stop, which is Rock City. It's about a 1 mile hike. Be sure to ask for this little map when you pay, as it'll show you the Rock City area. My first stop in the park was the 1 mile hike through Rock City to Sentinel Rock. This trail is actually called the Trail Through Time. Basically, as soon as you leave the parking area, there's picnic tables and you'll be in the Wind Cave section of Rock City. Obviously, if you come here, please don't leave any graffiti. That should go without being said, but figured I would say it. What makes this area so fun is just all these little nooks and crevices you can climb up in, especially if you're hiking with a family. This sign says to watch out for poison oak, so note that and make sure your children note that. See that rock with the gate at the top right there? That's Sentinel Rock that we're going out to right now. This trail is just so fun as you're just climbing over rocks, rock steps. Just feels very adventurous, especially for young kids. We made it to the base of Sentinel Rock, heading up that way. Sentinel Rock is pretty awesome as it has stairs that were cut into the side and were built by the Civilian Conservation Corps when they were building the Summit Road. It's a little bit of a scramble, but it's short and it's a lot of fun. We made it to the top of Sentinel Rock. Look at all these views. Fun little hike. Sentinel Rock really stands above the surrounding landscape, giving you great views in every direction. So as we go down, we're going to continue on this little loop trail that goes all through the forest that way and back up to there. As you head back to the parking area, you can go the way you came or you can do the loop that I'm doing in this video. That's how you go back the way we came. But we're going to continue on a little bit. Definitely have an all trails map so you know where you're going or know how to read the map they gave you. If you want to hike to the summit of Mt Diablo, there's actually a couple trails that'll take you up there. All of them are long and steep though. This part of the trail is shaded and really pretty, but it does have some elevation gain. It's crazy how green and beautiful everything is right now. The only other time I've been here, everything was brown. All right, we made it back up to the split with the Summit Trail, but we're heading back to Rock City, that direction. Rock City Trail. That trail I added on was nice because it was green and pretty, but there was about 150 feet of elevation at the end, so for most people, probably just go back the way you came when you go to Sentinel Rock. I've been to the summit of Mt Diablo a couple of times, but I've actually never hiked to it. It's hard for me to hike any trail where you can drive to the top, But let me know if you think I should hike it in the comments. After passing the wind caves again, we made it back to the parking lot to continue on. How do you beat this picnic spot? Right next to these rocks. You can park right there. It's awesome. All right, we're saying goodbye to Rock City and we're continuing our way to the summit. From Rock City, the 2-lane road continues climbing and there's lots of bikers, so be sure to watch out, especially on the blind corners. So we're here in the springtime and I saw some poppies near the Wildcat Group camp area. Figured I would take a few pictures. It's pretty. See all the poppies out right there, and there's a little use trail goes down through them towards the campground. Mt Diablo can be a great spot for springtime wildflower blooms. I was here in mid-March and it wasn't too amazing this year, but it was still pretty to see. It's always fun to see a nice springtime bloom like that. Now we're continuing on. Here's an actual designated overlook, Livermore Valley Overlook. Plus there's a bunch of picnic benches and look at that view. On the way up, there's about a dozen picnic areas and viewpoints, so be sure to pull off at any you're interested in seeing. There's a few poppies up here too. As I left the Livermore Valley Overlook, you could start seeing the summit of Mt Diablo come into view, and then the next stop was at the Diablo Overlook. Here's all the things you can see from this viewpoint. You can even see the SFO, International Airport, Pacific Ocean, but it's not super clear today. This is definitely the best overlook on the way up, but the best view is from the summit, so just keep heading on. I know there's a lot of people out there like my dad who don't like drop-offs on the side of the road, so as you get close to the summit, there's definitely a pretty good drop-off on one side. Our last stop before the summit was at the Devil's Elbow. If you want to hike the North Peak Trail, that's actually this one out here that you can see those people on. I want to hike to Devil's Pulpit, but I'm not sure if this is the best spot or if the summit's the best spot. So we'll go up and do the summit and then we'll figure out Devil's Pulpit, which is that rock behind me. As you leave this section, you'll follow the 2-lane road and arrive at the summit. We made it to the summit of Mt Diablo. Let's explore the visitor center. The summit building, which looks kind of like a castle, was built by the Civilian Conservation Corps in the 1930s. If you're here when it's open, you can go inside the visitor center or you can climb to the top, which allows you to see the navigational beacon that was placed here in the late 1920s. This beacon is historic as it was turned off the day after the Pearl Harbor attacks, and it's only turned on once per year to commemorate those who served during the attack. After soaking in the views from the observation deck, you can head back down and go inside of the visitor center. Have you ever seen this before? This is the summit of Mt Diablo. I'm standing on it and I am inside a building. Elevation 3,849 on the summit. It's pretty hilarious to have to go inside to stand on the summit of the mountain, but I thought it was a fun little add-on. After exploring the summit, you can walk through the visitor center and see a topographical map and learn a lot about the area's history. From the summit of Mt Diablo, you can see more land and water than from any park in the lower 48. We are right here. After exploring the visitor center, I just walked around the outside of the summit and took in all of the different views. It wasn't the clearest day, but it's still pretty crazy how much you can see from the top. Supposedly you can even see all the way to Half Dome on a really clear day. We're leaving the summit, but before ending this video, we're gonna do the Mary Bowerman Trail, which actually goes around the summit. It's about 3/4 of a mile. So we're gonna go down there and park and start the trail. Here's the start of the trail. Be sure to grab one of these brochures when you're up at the summit, as it has lots of information about the trail while you're walking it. This trail does a complete circle around the summit from a lower level and it goes to the Devil's Pulpit. So it looks like that's number 13, which means we are doing this trail in reverse. Doesn't really matter though. I had never done this trail previously, but it allows you to get away from the crowds of the summit and get some great views over the surrounding landscape. Here's the Devil's Pulpit. It's a little rock you can scramble up if you want to, and you can take some pretty cool pictures from up there. Fortunately, I don't have anybody to take my picture today. I'm still gonna go up. This is definitely a scramble, so not everyone will want to do it, but it gives you a great view back towards the summit when you get to the top. Made it back down. Gonna go finish the trail. As you leave the Devil's Pulpit, the trail heads around the right side of the mountain. Cool little viewpoint about halfway back with lots of binoculars. Is that what these things are called? I look out in the distance. This section is the end of the ADA portion of the trail, which was opposite of where I parked and was the clockwise way around the trail. This is a great little trail. I definitely recommend it if you make it all the way up to the summit. Short, not really much elevation, and lots of great views. Just to confirm, there's a handicap parking spot right here, and the first quarter mile of the trail is ADA. All right, we made it back to our car. It's about 45 minutes back to Danville, and I'm gonna show you one of my favorite places to eat there before ending this video. Downtown Danville actually has a lot of great restaurant options, with the Brewing Company and the Danville Harvest being my two favorites. Fuji apple melt with bacon, pretzel bites, and a drink. Yeah, I ordered way too much food, but I skipped breakfast. My last meal was last night, so my hunger got the best of me. This is definitely where it's at though, the Fuji apple sandwich with bacon added in. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. We will see you on the next one.